Welcome back to the Crochet Grados with my friends over at Joann.com. This is week number 1. Yes, we're going to get ourselves started today to be able to make your beautiful Afghan together with me right here on camera. What we have this week is actually 3 stitches that are going to be building on top of each other. So we're going to start off with the stacked blocks. We're then going to transition and we're going to do a zigzag pattern, which I think you'll be really quite proud of yourselves after you're done. I know I was. And then the third one, we're going to do the offset squares. And what this is like the stack blocks, but it's just being shifted over. So each one of these are going to be working together in order to really create that layer. So we're going to be doing this. Also in week number 3, we're also going to bring back the stacked blocks as well as the offset squares, and we're going to put something else in between. So it's one of those items where you can learn these skills and then kind of just puzzle it up and make it your own. So without further ado, let's head on down into the studio and let's get started right away. So let's start off with a pattern review. We have this Afghan. It's 50 inches by 61 inches long. It's a mosaic based Afghan, and we're going to be teaching those techniques, and what you'll learn from this stitch along you can use elsewhere whenever you're thinking about your crochet. So it is intermediate level, but a determined beginner, as long as you understand the concept, can actually master this. We have 4 different colorways that the designer has chosen, so you can choose a color design that suits your lifestyle and your decor the best. You're going to be using a 5mm size H crochet hook, and this Afghan is a 1-piece unit, so we're going to start off in the one section and then keep on building and building, so it's not a particular motif based project. So let's turn the page. In the next few pages you have what the instructions are from the designer on how to use this concept to your advantage and how to follow the charts and things to watch out for. So we'll be going through that when we go through the mosaic concepts. We're then going to work on the pattern itself, and you have the written instructions for those that prefer that, and we start off in the one section here, we jump to another and then another here in week number 1. So then as you're continuing along and flipping, you will see like larger photos of the Afghan itself, but you will also then run into the stitch key diagrams, which we'll talk to you about when we get to each one of these concepts. So the whole pattern has been laid out like this, so it's a lot easier for you to be able to follow. You can see the repeats in the pattern really quite easily, and ultimately the designer has done a fabulous job here. So what we should jump to next is that I'm going to show you how to do this mosaic concept from the designer's point of view, and she did an excellent job on putting that together for you. So let's go through that next. So here we have Mosaic Crochet, and it's been written by the designer for your convenience. The concept is actually pretty simple. It's just getting it into your head to make sure that you understand it so that it makes your life a lot easier. You can also reduce the stress by understanding the concept as well. Mosaic crochet patterns are worked in alternating pairs of single crochet rows, with each pair consisting of the right side and wrong side. So what she's saying here is that when you go across with single crochet with let's just say for example gray here, when you return back you'll be using gray, and then what's going to happen is then the next row you're going to be using here the purple, so you'll go across with purple and return with purple, and the colors will be carrying up loosely on the one side. So the coloring is always going to change on the one side here, and that's what she's saying in that particular instruction. So the unused color is being carried up, and the beautiful thing about this concept is that the stitches will drop down. So this double crochet, I can put my hook right behind it, and if I move it to the side you'll see that the purple is right underneath. Therefore this will literally hide the color instead of being tapestry crochet. So when it's purple, gray is not being traveling under it. Gray has just been left to the side at the end, and then you come back and return. And so when you have this here, the gray, you don't see any purple in there at all because it's not being carried. So that's a really wonderful thing. So let's move along in the next paragraph. A mosaic crochet pattern starts to come to life when the double crochet stitches worked on your right side only. So whenever you do the drop down, it has to be the side that you can physically see when you're putting it onto your sofa and displaying it. So the good side is always that you're going to be doing something fun like this. So the opposite side, the bad side, the wrong side, is all just going to be striping because there's no mosaic happening on the other side. But what's happening here behind here is what's making it possible for it being in the front. So you'll start to see ideas. So whenever there's a drop down, just like you see here, there is a chain 2 space behind it. The only difference is that when you have things like this where there's 2 colors in a row, there's 2 drop downs, that would have been a chain 3. So here's the concept. If you have to skip over 1 stitch, you will chain 2. If you have to skip over 2 stitches, you have to chain 3. And you're adding that extra chain in there, so when this drops down, it sits flush within your project and not popping out and jumping out and causing it to not sit right. So the extra chain, whenever you're going to put in there, will make it sit so everything is really aligning properly. So when you're reading the diagrams, what's gonna happen is that when you do a drop down like this one here, you're going to notice that you would have had to do a chain 2 after this in order to create a space that is appearing so the next drop down in the future can happen. So what you have to watch out for is that when you have these drop downs happen, there's going to be spaces either before or after, sometimes before and after, in order to create the spaces for things to happen. So you just have to keep an eye that whenever you're going across on the front side, the right side of the work, is that you're not only going to do your drop down, but you're also going to create spaces so that in the future when you have to drop down again, that they'll be there and available for you. To keep track of this, what she's recommending as well is to have a post-it note or a piece of paper to overlay the pattern. So you can just lay it on top of the pattern and just hide what is above. You know, sometimes the hardest things are so easy to do when you can never just ignore what is in top, because you don't need to worry about what's on top at this moment, but you can just focus on what's underneath and just move up your paper. And the nice thing about being a sticky note is that you can unstick it and then restick it without any issues at all. So it's a really beautiful concept. The charts also have a unusual red line, and there's an explanation for that, but we'll talk about that when we get closer to the actual pattern itself. And so she also has instructions for us on how to do these particular concepts. So she provided to us not only just examples of how the chart is going, but also examples on how it's physically crocheted as well, which I think is a real true bonus here. So in this first example, what we have is a reduced or sample of the right side of the first to 4th row of the zigzag mosaic crochet pattern. So you will notice here that we went across and we have row number 1, and then we came back with row number 2, and you saw that they were just single crochets in each. If you don't know how to read these things, the stitch key is available to you, and also we will be covering it at the start of every section as well. As we begin row number 3 is that we're going to chain up 1, and the first 3 have a single crochet, and then chain 2, skip 1, single crochet in the next, chain 2, skip the 1, and then single crochet in the next 3. And what you see in the red line here is the repeat of the project happening. So you can see that everything between the repeat happens over and over again. So once you get that into your head, it's so much easier to be able to follow. What you're doing here is that you're creating the holes of the extra chain that has been provided, so that next row that will come into play will drop down in front of those chain 2 spaces and attach right to that single crochet to be into position. So we'll cover that in the next chart that's just straight down. So what you're seeing here is that you're getting yourself overlaid. So the first color, it's easy to tell, is just going to be your main color. So it could be a white or gray. So back with or forward with the main color, and then back with the main color. Drop it, let it hold to the side, and then grab the fun color, the secondary color, and then just single crochet the first 3, and then go across with that color and then back, and then you'll drop it again and bring up the main color, so you'll loosely travel those up. So let's move down on that page and let's go through this chart, which is just a build on to what is above. So let's begin down here in row number 5, and what we have is that we're going to just chain up 1 and single crochet the first 2. So you have to think about 2 things when you're coming across. You have to think about building more chain spaces, and you also have to think about dropping down at this point. So you're gonna single crochet in the first 2, chain 2, which will skip a space or skip a stitch here, and you'll double crochet down into this single crochet down here. The double crochet has a bend to it. That means that we're crocheting in front. You're going to then single crochet the next stitch here, and then dropping down again for another double crochet down here. You're chaining 2, single crocheting in the next. So you're just gonna skip the stitch, single crochet in the next, and you will see that the repeat has just shifted over slightly. So the red line is showing you that. And so then you'll see the constant repeating of this pattern then going all the way across. So you're chaining 2, skipping 1, dropping down, single crochet the next, double crochet by dropping down, chaining 2, single crochet in the next, and etc. all the way to the end. Here's the advantage of this whole concept. When you return on the wrong side, it always matches what was on the right side, but only doing single crochet. So let's look at it. So chain 1, single crochet in the first 2, single crochet in the next. You see this chain 2? You're just chaining 2. You're just matching it. Instead of dropping down, you're just single crocheting. So you single crochet in every stitch, and when there's spaces, you're just gonna jump over. And if you don't think that's true, if you look back up here, when we did the return pass on number 4, it matched everything, and you're going to see that happening every time on the back side. So if you single crochet in every stitch across, you're single crocheting in every stitch going back. If you're doing some space work, you're gonna match those spaces returning. So as we continue this particular concept, we're then moving up in the pattern. We're now going to rows number 7 and 8. So 7 and 8 is again the fun color, the contrast color. So you're worrying about dropping down. I wouldn't say worry is a good word, but you're going to chain up 1, single crochet, chain 2, then drop down where the space is. You'll see the space right on the project, and then you'll single crochet in the next 3. You'll drop down with the double crochet, and then you'll chain 2, and then skipping 1 and then dropping down, and you will see that it's following that shift that we did last time. So if you're looking here, you're seeing that the blue is dropping down, and again the return pass is just matching stitch for stitch. So single crocheting in the stitches where they count, and where there's chain 2 spaces you just continue to do that. So the back side of this whole afghan is actually gonna look just like this. So when you're going in the back, you're just matching it. So if I turn the sample over, you see nothing but stripes. That's gonna happen. So the nice thing about it is that even if it does flip, it'll look striped, but when you turn it over, you can have the magic just like you see here. And so it's a really neat concept in order to do it. And as you're building it and you start to do a repeat of this pattern, you're going to notice is that once the repeat's done, you're gonna start to be able to look before and say, okay, well, where did that really go into play? And when I back out the camera now, is that when you look at the sample, like you just see 1 repeat here, you'll see 5 of these when you actually have the real sample done. And what we're recommending is that every time you do a repeat, just put a stitch marker in there and you'll be able to see it. But on the zigzags here that you'll see, you'll be able to count 5. And then here, as you're building up, this is just a small example, but what you'll have is 3 repeats of this eventually. So this is 1 repeat, and then 3 repeats of that going the other way. So it's a really kind of a neat concept in order to play. So I know this was a really kind of a long section here. It's really necessary for you to understand this concept to make your life a lot easier. Less frogging, more cooking, and that's kind of the goal. So without further ado, we're gonna move along now, and we're gonna get ourselves started with the first section of week number 1. So let's begin week number 1 officially. We have 3 sections to do for this one. We have 3 different types of stitches that we're gonna learn. We're gonna start off with the stack blocks. We're then going to move on to the zigzags, and then we're going to be going on to the offset squares. So what we're going to do is go incrementally into this, and we're gonna return then back at the beginning of each one of these sections to look at the diagram that's available to you. So there's a lot of written instructions. That's because those chain 2 spaces that we need to skip, it gets wordy to write that. So it's really not that hard if you're just following the concept. So let's continue then, and let's start the stack blocks first. And this kind of wets your whistle to get yourself started, and then once you get it, you get it. So as we begin the stack blocks, we're going to start up, and we're gonna start with our chain, and then we're going to then start with row number 1 and 2. So you can kind of see with the coloring of the shading that it tells you like this is the kind of the main color. So back So going across with the main color and then back is just single crochet in each of the stitches. We're then going for 3 and 4. You see that it's a shaded color, so we're gonna switch off and we're gonna do contrast B with this one, so it's the variegated yarn. And you're going to notice is that we're starting to create the spaces in order to make that work. So what we have is that we're going to single crochet in the first one, chain 3 and only skip 2. Remember what I said in the other section there is that whenever we're skipping over a set amount of stitches we have to add an extra chain so that these will stay flush in the future. We're then skipping over 2 and then single crocheting in the 2. These red lines are kind of like your repeats. So once you understand the sequential order, it gets really easy to be able to do that all the way across. Then once you get those 2 single crochets, you're chaining 3, skipping only 2, single crochet in the next 2, and you'll do that all the way back. So the return pass on the wrong side is just going to match stitch for stitch. So if it's a single crochet, you'll do a single crochet. If it's a chain 3 space, you'll continue it to be a chain 3 space. Row number 5, we're going to do our drops downs. The thing about this particular pattern compared to the rest of them that we have is that there is actually a physical break of the way that they drop down. So in other ones they drop down sooner so that they have the more the zigzaggy kind of fun stitches. This one here is about stacking. It's about getting yourself started in this particular concept. So when we come across on number 5, it'll be the main color. We're just dropping down to where the chain 3 spaces are to these particular single crochets here. Single crochet in the next 2 and then drop down. But when we do the return pass we're just single crocheting all there. So we're not providing any spaces within these double crochet drop downs at all, unlike the rest of the patterns that you have. Actually the offset squares you won't have that as well. So this is kind of a neat concept, and once you get it, so rows number 5 through 8 are the repeat pattern for this section, and you only need 3 sets of boxes. So this will create 1 box, this is a second, and you just got to do it one more time before moving on in the pattern. So without further ado, let's grab our hook and let's get started on the pattern. So starting with the slip knot on the hook, please either chain 149 or do your stitch multiples of 24 plus 5. So just a stitch, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then just keep it in multiples of 24 plus 5 or 149. You decide. So I've just finished 2 sets of 24, so I'm just gonna add my 5 to have the balance. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So in video number 3 you're going to do this again, but there won't be a starting chain, and if you were doing that particular video what you need to do is just chain up 1 and do across and back with just a single crochet in each. Now because we're just starting here in video number 1 you're gonna have your starting chain. So second chain from the hook, just turn it over and get the back hump of the chain only and just single crochet yourself all the way across your chain. So this will be row number 1, and in video number 3 it's still row number 1, but you won't be working on a chain, just the existing row that's below. So let's go across and I'll see you at the end of this chain. Okay, once you're all the way across your chain you're gonna turn your work and go for row number 2. And this is also the same for video number 3. So just chain up 1 and do 1 single crochet in each of the single crochets going all the way back, and then we're gonna introduce our variegated color, which is contrast B. So please just put in 1 single crochet in each stitch across. So as I'm completing this row, the new color is going to get added on the last stitch before we begin. So every time that we're going to play with a different color, every 2 rows is the same color. So these 2 rows will then be gray, and then in this case for the stack blocks the next 2 rows will be the variegated peacock color. And what we have here is that every time we're changing colors that'll always be on the same side, and it will obviously just make your life a lot easier. You're also not gonna cut your yarn at all, so you're just gonna make it travel up and then you're gonna apply a border. So in the very last stitch don't finish it and get your variegated yarn, and I just create a slip knot just for my own sanity, and I'm just gonna put it on and I'm gonna finish the last stitch with that color, and I'm just gonna let the gray just fall out of the way, and then I'm going to use the peacock color. So let's just turn our work and set this down, and let me take you to the diagram and show you what you're going to get yourself into. I also have a sample for you to see as well. So here's an example of what we're going to get ourselves into. So every 2 stitches is either going to be gray or it's going to be the peacock. But we don't worry about the gray until we get all the way over and back with peacock first and then switch over. So what you're seeing here, the gray dropping down, is not happening immediately. It'll be the next time we're introducing gray, and that's where we're going to drop down. The trick is that we have to provide the spaces in order for that to happen. So if you look at it from the back, see, the peacock is going actually all the way through this thing. It's the gray here, and when I actually just take another item, you can see I can just slip my hook right underneath that gray. It's just an overlay. So it's a nice clean color and there's no tapestry work involved with doing this particular concept. So let's begin row number 3. Chain up 1 and put 1 single crochet in the beginning one, just like this. So that's your first one. You now have to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, and you're gonna only skip over 2 and go to the third and single crochet that one plus the friend next door. So 2 in a row. So now you have to skip over 2. So how many stitches are you going to, or how many chains are you gonna make? 3. You have to make an extra one. So 1, 2, 3, skip only 2 and single crochet in the next one and its friend next door. Where you're skipping is where the gray is gonna drop down in the future, and the gray is actually going to use these stitches in front of the work. So chain 3, skip 2, go to the third, and then make sure you get the friend next door and go all the way across, and I'll see you at the end of row number 3. If your stitch counts are right and you're maintaining exactly the pattern going across, the very last stitch will just be 1 single crochet by itself. So currently you're looking at the right side of the project, but you don't know it yet, not until you get that gray to overlay the first time. So we have to return back because the gray is not available for you to change. So then this is the back side of the project, and you're going to maintain exactly what you see every time you're on the back. So just chaining 1 and single crochet in the first. You can see that there's a chain space here. So how many was in the chain? It was 3. So 1, 2, 3, and single crochet in the next 2. So when you're on the back side, you're just maintaining exactly what you've done in the row before it, and just return all the way back to the other side. So this is row number 4, and I will see you at the end of this row. So I'm coming up all the way across and just matching exactly what I see, and the last stitch is going to be a single crochet, but I don't want to finish. I want to now change it back to gray. So when I'm changing colors back and forth, I want to make sure these strands don't tangle, so just keep an eye on that behind the scenes and pull through, and then turn your work. Make sure it's kind of traveling up a little bit loosely because you're going to be covering that later with the border. So let's turn our project, and now let's begin row number 5 and 6. So on the particular sample, you're going to notice that there's 3 boxes that will be aligned. So we're actually just made ourselves the first one, but you can't see it quite yet, and so you'll have to go across one more time and then one more time. So that's the goal for this particular one. When you're finishing this particular section, you will notice that the pass, once it comes down and then back, that would be the end of it. So you'll see that on the diagram as well. So that's where you want to be able to finish. So what I need you to do is do 3 sets of these boxes and then just do your pass back and forth to finish off before moving on to the zigzag section. So let's begin. We're gonna chain up 1 and you're gonna single crochet in the first one. Just let that peacock just come out of the way. So the next 2 stitches are down here. So jump down. So wrap the hook first. It's a double crochet, and just go right into those stitches, and making sure that you don't trap those peacock colors inside the stitch. So just make sure, just pulling it out, and you're going to double crochet that one plus the friend next door. So these ones are working in sets of 2, as well as the offset squares that you'll have in the future. Once you have those 2 drop down, the next 2 are just single crochet right in the single crochets that are already there. So there's your peekaboo starting, and now the next 2 are right in front, and you're gonna do that all the way across. Okay, the next 2 single crochets are single crochets, and then the next 2, you can see the spacing just dropping down in front. Please do this all the way across, and I'll see you at the end of this row. So I'm just coming all the way to the other side. I'm just single crocheting the last single crochet, and you can see on the other side is where your yarn is for the peacock, so you know that you can't change the peacock yet. So you turn your work and then you come back, and so you can see the back side. So the fun stuff is on the front, and now you can really see where you are in the back. So you're now going to do the return pass, so just chain up 1 and just apply 1 single crochet in each one of the stitches going all the way across, and that will conclude on how to do this particular stitch work. So you need to actually repeat the last 4 rows, which is including the one I'm just doing right now, a matter of 2 more times, so that you end up with 3 sets of those variegated boxes that are stacked on top of each other. I'll see you at the end of this row. So I'm coming to the very end of this row. So what's that mean? You can see that this is going to have the variegates that are sitting there, so you know that you have to change. So in the very last one, then you just switch back to the variegate and then turn your work. So you're gonna repeat the last 4 rows, so that you're gonna go across with your variegates. You're gonna put the same space exactly where you need to in order to have it stacked on top, and then you're just gonna go across with your grays. So So once you're ready to move on to the zigzag, make sure that the last stitch is actually finished with the gray. Don't switch it back to peacock, and we're going to begin the zigzag with the fresh new gray here, and we're going to provide the foundation rows with the gray, so there's going to be a little bit more gray space between these peacocks and when the zigzag starts. And let's go to the diagram and see what we're getting ourselves into now. So let's begin to do our zigzag mosaic pattern. So what we have is that we're gonna be building up from the existing pattern, and the first 2 rows are just gonna be using your main color, row number 1 and 2, and it's gonna single crochet across. You will notice that the repeat changes slightly. Just follow the red lines and stay incrementally, so that it keeps it easier for you to remember the stitch work all that much easier. The thing about it is that we're gonna start off row number 3 with the contrasting color. So 3 and 4 is just creating the space work. So you're gonna single crochet the first 3, chain 2, skip 1, single crochet in the next, chain 2, and then single crochet in the next 3. So you see within the red box here, this is the incremental of the repeat. When you return past, then on number 4, you're just matching stitch for stitch. If there's a chain 2, keep it as a chain 2 and single crochet in the remaining stitches, and then just let your yarn drop. Number 5 and 6 is your main color again. So you have to single crochet the first 2, chain 2 first, skipping this stitch, then dropping down, single crochet in the next, dropping down, and when I say about dropping down, that's a double crochet, and then chain 2 after that. So you're chaining 2 before the drop down, you're chaining 2 after the drop down, and you're skipping a stitch before and after in order to make this work. So you're gonna notice that it'll have space then for the next piece that goes in the future. You're single crochet in the next, and then you do the incremental repeat. Number 6 coming back is just matching it with what you have. Match the single crochets to the single crochets and double crochets, and keeping the chain 2 the same. Row number 7 and 8, we're going to be starting up, chaining 1. We're gonna create a gap space immediately on the first stitch here, skipping over, drop down, single crochet in the next, drop down, and then putting chain 2 there, skipping that stitch and drop down. So the way easy to remember, these kind of 2 here, there's gonna be drop down, chain 2, and then drop down the next one. So there's nothing to attach to up here. You're then going to do single crochets for the next 3, and then you're gonna just continue to repeat that. So row number 8 is just matching. So row number 9, we're gonna be doing the last of the growth, as far as like the last time it gets bigger at the top of the V kind of shape. It's actually the point. So you're gonna notice that it's only gonna drop down 1 time for each of the points that you will have. So you'll single crochet, drop down, single crochet the next 2, chain 2 space, so right in the middle you'll skip, and then you will then chain 2, single crochet twice, and then dropping down, and etc. So you'll do that all the way across, and then row number 10 you'll come back and just match stitch, 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 space to space. Row number 11 and 12, you are just going to then start up again. So if you really kind of look at it, you see that it's going to be building out again. So what is the difference between the bottom section here is that the bottom section did not have a point down here, but it will here, and you will notice that appearing in the work as well. So you're gonna be doing the row repeat from 5 all the way through 12, and you'll have that so that you will physically see 5 zigzags on your work. Okay, so that's a lot of mouthful at this moment, so let's grab a hook and let's get started. So we're now going to build on. So you would have had 3 of these blocks done by now. For brevity reasons, I don't need to show you all of those three different times. You can just do it. So we're now going to build on. So we're just gonna chain up 1, and for row number 1 and 2, noticing that I'm looking at the right side as I start 1 and 2, as I start number 1, you're just gonna do 1 single crochet in each, and then you're just gonna get to the end, turn, chain 1 and 1 single crochet all the way back, and then we're gonna introduce the secondary color, which is contrast A. So please do rows number 1 and 2 with just 1 single crochet into each. So as we come to the end of row number 2 for the zigzag section, I want you to introduce then the purple on the last stitch and pull it through, and then drop the gray, and then we're going to begin rows number 3 and 4. Let's begin row number 3. You're gonna chain up 1 and do 1 single crochet in each of the next 3. So that includes the first one. Once you have that done, you're gonna chain 2, skip only 1 stitch and single crochet in the next, and then chain 2, and then skip 1 stitch and single crochet into the next 3. So 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so that's our repeat going all the way across. So chain 2, skip just 1, chain 2, skip just 1, and this time it's gonna be 3 in a row. So when you scan all the way across with your eyes, I want you to just kind of make sure that there's sets of 3, and then you can see 2 spaces with 1 single crochet that is standing in between. So please do this all the way across. This is row number 3, and I'll see you at the end of this row. So when you get to the other side, you're gonna turn and you're looking at the back side. Here you can see the stripe. So with this one here, just like all the rest, when you're on the back side, you just match the stitches. So chaining up 1 and then just do 1 single crochet where there's single crochets, and if there was a space, just match the space count that it was. So in this case we were chaining 2 when we jumped, so chain 2, single crochet in the next, chain 2, and then skipping over, and etc. So please just match the stitches that you see on the other side here. So when you get to the other side, just matching your stitches, and then you're gonna switch back to gray, and then the gray is gonna be filling in the spots where you've just jumped over, and we're gonna creating more spots that you'll see. So switch over to gray, and then we're going to begin then and do rows number 5 and 6, which is part of the repeat that you'll see. Okay, this is the start of the repeat. So we have 5 and 6 as your first one, so you're gonna chain up 1 and you're going to apply 2 single crochets in a row. So 1 and 2. You're then going to chain 2, which is providing a space for the future, and then you immediately drop down here. Okay, so that space covered that one that you're skipping, which is right there. You're then going to single crochet in the next single crochet and then drop down. So it's a double crochet, and then you want to chain 2 for a space and skip the one immediately that comes after, and then just go in single crochet the one. If you notice is that there's 3 single crochets in a row, it's the middle one of the 3. Chain 2 to reset and do 2 more of those. So chain 2, skipping the next one and dropping down. Single crochet into the next one. So if you can see everything in sets of pairs, it's a lot easier. Okay, skipping the first one out, chain 2 and just come to the middle one of the grouping of 3 right there. Chain 2, skipping the next one, coming down and drop down, single crochet into the middle one of, and then drop down and chain 2. So if you can remember that there's a chain 2 before you drop down and a chain 2 directly after you drop down, it becomes a lot easier. Let's continue this all the way across, and I'll see you at the end of the row. When you come to the end of the row, don't forget that chain 2 space, and the final 3 are each going to be a single crochet. So do you remember how to return pass? It's the same as each one of them. So turn your work and match exactly what you see. So just chaining up one. So this is number 6. So you're just gonna single crochet where there's single crochets, and where there was a space that you jumped, match the count. So it was, this case it was chain 2. And watch these ones here. There's actually 3 in a row. If you turn it over you can see it. So you got the first double, you got the single in the middle, and then a double. So you just gotta make sure that you're single crocheting in each one of those. So don't forget those. And that will pull it back, chain 2, single crochet in the next, chain 2, and then single crochet in the next 3. So this is going back for number 6, and then we're gonna pick up the purple when we get back to the other side. So I'm coming back up to the other side, and I'm just matching stitch for stitch, and then we are then going to pick up our purple and then go back in the other direction just like we're seeing. And 7 and 8, yes, we are going to be dropping down with the purple. So as we begin this one here, we are going to be dropping down with the purple, as I said, and we're gonna be coming down. So every time there's a zigzag kind of idea or a standing tile, you'll notice that we're using both the purple and the grays to do the drop downs in order to create the effects. Unlike the stack blocks where that was solo by itself, we're now going to be playing with the secondary color here to also drop down. So number 7 is that we're gonna chain up 1 and do 1 single crochet in the first, and then chain 2, and then drop down into the purple just like you see, and this will create an overlay. You're going to single crochet in the next 3 that you see. Those are right up over top of the doubles, like of the pair that you see below. And then you're going to drop down. So here's how I remember it. So I'm dropping down, and it feels wrong to do, but you need to create a space in between the 2 drop downs of this purple. So just chain 2 and then dropping down to the next one. So you're just totally ignoring that gray section in behind. So it feels like it's gonna separate, but it won't. You just have to trust in it. After you get those pair done, it's the next 3 in a row that'll be single crochet, and then you're gonna drop down. So drop, and then chain 2, and then drop on the other side. And now the next 3 in a row are each a single. So you're gonna notice then it's almost like a horseshoe shape that you're creating with that particular color as you go all the way across. So this is row number 7, and then we'll return past number 8 when we get to the other side. So I'm coming all the way to the other side, and you're just continuing to drop down. Now when you come to the other side here, you can only drop down, you can't have a pair. So then you just have to chain 2 after this one, and then it's 2 single crochets that are left. So as we do our return going back, number 8, just match exactly what you see. So just chaining up 1 single crochet in each. If there's a chain 2 space, just chain 2 and jump, and just continue to do all those across just like that. So just maintain what you know, and then I'll see you at the other side of this row. So I'm coming up all the way across, just matching, and this is the end of row number 8. So I've just skipped over it, and there's only 1 single crochet in a row. Make sure that you do switch back to your main color, and then we're gonna pick up in rows number 9 and 10. So you can kind of see how things are working out so far. Row number 9, you're just gonna chain up 1, and you're gonna single crochet in the first one, and then immediately drop down into the gray down here. You're going to single crochet the next 2. So just look for the spaces that you can kind of see in behind the scenes. So the first 2 in a row are a single crochet. So there's 5 in a row just to keep a number of the count. Chain 2 to jump a space, skip the middle one of the grouping of 5, and single crochet the next 2 after that. And then you can see you're in a space. So drop down to the gray, pick it up just like that, and then single crochet into the next 2. That's your grouping of 5 in the purple. Chain 2, skip the next one, single crochet in the next 2, and then drop down. And you can kind of really see the definition of things really happening, right? Isn't that awesome? So continue to do this. This is row number 9, and then when you do the return pass, you're just gonna match exactly what you see. When you get to the other side, the last two are single crochets. There's no spaces between the last drop down and that one. You can really see. And now if you're really following the shapes, you can see how things are working out. So it's return pass, row number 10, exactly what you see. So just chain up 1 and then 1 single in each, and then chain 2s over the spacing when you're going to jump. So just keep an eye on those, and please do this all the way then back for row number 10. So when you get all the way back, obviously you're gonna switch to purple, and then we're going to begin then rows number, the final of 11 and 12 of the repeat, and then you're gonna go back to row number 5 and through 12 once again. So you will see that this row here will create the spike that you need, and you can see the spike is ready to go in because you have the spaces, and you can see it's right in the middle of where this is happening. Well, you're just gonna chain up 1, and you're gonna put in a single crochet in the first 3. So 1, 2, 3, and you can see that you have a single before the drop down, and that's where you want to chain 1 or chain 2, sorry, that's the space, and then dropping down in the space, that's the very middle. You're gonna chain 2, that's the space after it. You're gonna skip the one directly after the space and just put 3 single crochets in a row. So the trick is to be watching where the drop down happens, which is here. There's a stitch in the way first, so you're gonna chain 2 to skip over that, and then drop down, and then chain 2 and skip the first one, and then single crochet in the next 3. Please do this. This is row number 11. So at the end of this row there will be 4 single crochets in a row. So then row number 12, you're just gonna turn your work and then begin and match exactly what you see. So if there's chain 2 spaces, just match those, and I'll see you at the end of this row. At the end of row number 12, all we're just going to do then is just switch back to gray, and then if you're repeating the pattern, you just have to go back and do rows number 5 through 12 once again. So you will see a total of 5 of these spikes happening. When you're ready and to move on to the next section after you get your 5 done, of course you can do more than 5 or less than 5, it's up to you. What you can do then is that we need to finish off this section so that we don't end up with any gapping spaces that end up bleeding over to the next type of stitching that we're going to do. So go back now and do rows number 5 through 12, just reverse the video, and then I will meet you back here and I will take you through the next 2 rows then to finish off this section. To finish off this section, after you have your 5 zigzags in here, you're just going to chain up 1, and what you need to do is just drop down to where the stitches need to be, but you're not going to add any additional spacing. So just 1 single crochet into each, and where you need to drop down, just drop down, fill that in. You're going to single crochet in the next, and then you're just gonna drop down. Now the difference between the first time that you did this is that you did create the space, but this time you're not going to, because you're gonna finish off your section. So that's kind of an easy way to be able to remember that. So you will see that it will look in balance to row number 5 of when you did that without the spacing in between. So please do this all the way across. This is the finishing pass, and then we will come back across with the gray and then move on to your next offset squares, which is the next stitch. When you get all the way across, just go right to the end, and then you're just gonna turn your work, and because this is the finishing pass, you're just gonna apply 1 single crochet into each of the stitches going all the way. We are moving to the offset squares next, and we will be using the variegated yarn, so we want to get rid of the purple at this time and then move ourselves onto the variegated then as we're then continuing our journey. So let's then move on to that stitch at the end of this row. So I'm now just coming to the finishing pass then, and you will have at this particular point, we're going to be getting ready for the offset squares. So you should have 3 layers of these blocks. You should have 5 layers of what you can see for those, and now we're going to move on to the offset squares, which is very similar to the stacked squares. The only difference is that they're offset. So let's go back to the diagram and let's get ourselves and get ready for offset squares. So So the offset squares, the whole pattern is available to you, so meaning that the whole thing has been charted out. So rows number 1 box, 2nd box, and the 3rd box. So because it's an offset squares, the only difference between the stack boxes and this one is that you will notice in the second time that the boxes appear, they are appearing right in the middle of where it appears here. So these were solid, so it'll be dropping down, so you'll create the space, and then when you come back and do the 3rd box, you'll be back to what you were doing over here. Do you see that? So actually the row repeat, if you ever to use this in the future, is from 3 to 10. But then beautiful thing about this pattern here is that you will see that it will work out pretty awesome. So you will actually physically do, for the repeat, you'll go from 3 all the way to 10, and then in order to get this section here, this is row through 3 through 6. So that's actually pretty easy to remember. So without further ado, let's head on into the pattern and let's start crocheting this out. So for the offset squares, we're just gonna start rows number 1 and 2 just with gray, and it's just 1 single crochet in each of the stitches, and I'll see you at the end of that, and just hold for me at that moment. I'm coming to the end of row 1 and 2 as we begin to do the offset squares, and we are going to switch over then and get your peacock ready, or your variegated, and we're going to be introducing that once again. So let's just put that on, let's turn our work, and let's go back to the diagram and see what we're gonna get ourselves involved with next. Okay, let's begin 3 and 4. So just chain up 1 single crochet in the first, and then you're gonna chain 3, 1 2 3, skipping over 2, and then single crochet in the next 2 like that, chain 3, skipping 2, and single crochet the next 2, and then chain 3, and please do that all the way across. This is row number 3, and we'll be coming back with number 4 for the offset squares. So just come all the way to the other side. This is row number 3. You will be doing rows number 3 through 6 one more time after we get the first repeat done. So let's begin, and continuing across, just matching exactly what you see. So 1 single in each single, and in this case there is chain 3 as your spacing, and then single crochet in the next singles. Please do that all the way across. This is row number 4. Coming up all the way across to the other side, and guess what? We're gonna switch back to gray. So when we switch back this time, we are gonna just pick that one up, and we're just going to fill in the spaces that we've created through number 3 and 4. So just chain up 1 and 1 single crochet in the first one, and then because the next one is a space, we're gonna just drop down right in front, and then of course the next 2 are 2 single crochet, and then dropping down again. Please do this and then return pass with the single crochet in each stitch, and this will then be rows number 3, 4, 5, and 6, which is what you have to repeat after you do the next part of the offset, which I will show you as well. So let's continue to do this as we get across. So I'm coming all the way across, and I'm just gonna I'm filling in the final 2 spots, and then there's 1 single crochet left at the end, and then turn, and this is row number 6. So the 6th pass across is just 1 single crochet into each. There's no spaces to worry about, and please do this all the way across, and then I'll see you at the end of this row. So I'm coming to the end of number 6, and I just want to switch back to the variegated color, and then we're going to begin then the offset section. So we have to maintain what we know. I can take it back to the diagram, but I think it's pretty obvious at this point. So I'm just gonna chain up 1, and there will be 3 single crochets in a row. So 1, 2, and 3, and then chain 2, or sorry, chain 3, jumping over 2, and then just do the 2 after that, and then chain 3, skip 2, and going in after. And you can clearly see when you're doing this is that those are in between. So please do this all the way across. This is the offset square section. When you get to the other side, the last 3 in a row will each be a single crochet. So turning your work, guess what? You have to match exactly what you see. So chaining 1 and 1 single crochet into each, and where you did your chain 3 jumps, please make sure you chain 3 and jump. So 1, 2, 3, and then coming over. So please do this all the way across. This is row number 7. When you get to the other side, you're gonna switch back to your gray, and then you're just gonna fill in the spots. So starting up, chain 1 and do 1 single crochet in each of the single crochets that you have, and in the chain 2 spaces you're gonna drop down, and these will drop down, creating those offset squares to really showcase their pattern. So you're just gonna do this all the way across, and you will notice, see, the drop down is awesome. And when we come back across, then we're just gonna single crochet into each stitch going, and then you need to repeat then rows number 3 through 6, which is the 2 here, and then which is the 2 of these variegates, and then dropping down, and then just a solid, and then that will take you then to the end of this section, which then will conclude week number 1 right here on the stitch along. I'm coming up to the end of the row, and the last 3 are 1 single crochet each, and then to return past, then just 1 single crochet into each, and I want you to do that, and then we're just gonna quickly recap and then finish week number 1 of the stitch along. So you get to the other side, change it back to the variegate if you need to. So let's just recap on where we are here in the pattern. So we're at the end of week number 1. So when we started off, we would have done 3 rows of these boxes that just like you see. We then would have added the zigzag pattern here on top of that, and there will be 5 that you can see. We're then going to add in then the offset squares that we just did. So you can see that you've just now completed 3 different types of stitches. So from the stacked to the zigzag to the offset. So when we get ready for then the week number 2, we're gonna just solely concentrate on the chevron chain, and what we're going to do then is that we're just gonna go off in one direction and then back in, and I'll show you how to do that, and we need to repeat each one of those little sections 3 times for each in order to get that to happen, and that's what we're gonna be doing. So please get your homework done. Hopefully this was of help to you, and I'd love to hear your feedback. So just get in touch with me here on the video and let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what your obstacles are, and we'll go back to where I was in the dining room in just a second.
So that's it for this week. It's Mikey on behalf of the Crochet Crowd, as well with my friends over at Joann.com. Please use our hashtags if you're using social media of Handmade with Joann as well as the Crochet Crowd. I want you to feel comfortable that the first time through any of these repeats is a little daunting, but once you do it once, it's easier the second time you're passing through. I noticed that for myself. So take your time, enjoy, and by all means post your work in progress on our group pages, and we hope to see your creativity really soon. Have a great day, and we'll see you on week number 2.